Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome us to another, it's our third, actually, right? Get together, fourth, Women in Photonics Technologies work group and network. So, welcome, everybody. Thank you, the West Coast, for joining us. I know it's early. Thank you for East Coast joining us in a group like that. It's super cool to see New York, connecting this way. And definitely think I will give an opportunity to everyone to introduce each other. But just a quick note on those who've never been part of our group, because we have a couple of new folks here. Just a quick, here's Ruby. Ruby is there somewhere. Just a quick introduction. So, um, Women in Photonics Technology work group is pretty much something new, right? That we launched back in December of 2021. So it's a really new. And what we're trying to accomplish through this network, through this venue, is to provide that platform, communication and collaboration platform for girls and women in photonics technology, specifically on the AS track, 2-year college education. So since December, we grew up, substantially. Today, I know that a few folks were not able to, June is a bad month. Everybody, it's the end of the school year. It's the beginning of the summer, so everybody has their responsibility. So that's why we are recording the session today to make sure that the shortfalls that we had in the past, we don't repeat them, and all of the folks have an opportunity to learn about us and lean on the resources that we provide. So besides the communication platform of the venue that we provide, kind of hangout time here, we're actually serious about building the resources that will help recruit us and retain women in photonics technologies. Some of them have been already captured through these surveys, through those extensive surveys that we have conducted and placed on our website. We're on LASER-TEC, so if you go to LASER-TEC, there is a webpage dedicated to women in photonics technologies. So I welcome you to take your time and kind of roam around there and see what can be done. We're definitely pushing 6 or 7 different goals through this initiative, addressing, from the beginning, just to bringing the confidence to actually professional growth. So with that in mind, I feel like we're going strong. Kate is somewhere there. So I'm looking forward for us to grow and develop anything more, additional resources. Today's session is a special session because it will kick off something I feel new and so much needed. The conversations from and storytelling, from those who've been there, done that, share their wisdom, share their experiences, teach us through their experience, through their lens, what to do and what specifically not to do, the journeys that we all had. So today it's a kickoff for a meeting like that with Desiree. We'll have, again, official introduction going forward. In September meeting, we're going to have, you all know Katie Schwartz from Edmond. So she will join us on in September, and hopefully we can continue this kind of a session, the series of those conversations and talks with women and girls in technologies. So with that in mind, I will just do a quick introduction. My name is Natalia. I'm in LASER-TEC doing everything plus additional more. With LASER-TEC. LASER-TEC is NSF funded center that is dedicated to the growth and expansion of the laser and fiber optics workforce in the United States. With that in mind, I will give a floor to all of you guys. If you don't mind, I'll start, but based on the gallery view that I see to moderate that. So Desiree, I'll start with you and then Mike, you, okay? Desiree, right. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Desiree Whitmore. I am a scientist at the Exploratorium in San Francisco and a former photonics professor. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here to help however I can. So if any of you are looking for a mentor, have questions about your career or what you can do with a career in photonics technology, feel free to reach out. And I'm giving a talk today.
Unmute yourself, Mike.
Michael Shea from Indian Hills Community College. I'm the laser and optics technology professor there. Just like Desiree, I'm here to, for you guys if you need any help with coaching, mentoring, anything like that. You know, my program does a really good job with connecting the students into industry, and we have a lot of industry partners. And so that's kind of what I'm bringing to the table here with that. And, happy to help, happy to be here.
Alexis and the team, New York team. I don't know, would you mind maybe go one person at a time if possible to give us a quick run, introductions? Who's in the room?
Absolutely, Natalia. We're thrilled to all be a part of this and to join, and we'll go around the room. Hey, Michael, wish you were coming. Frank's going to be here on Friday to tour our MCC lab, so wish you could make it here too. We'll be thinking about you. But
yeah, I wish I could be there.
I know. Next time. Alexis Vogt, professor and chair of the optics program here at Monroe Community College, and also part of the AmeriCom team. And I'm really happy to be joined with all of you today. So we'll just go around the room, okay? No, Kirsten, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Noble. I am with American Center for Optics Manufacturing.
Amanda Meyer with Front Range Community College in New York now.
Yay.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Sue Noonan, and I work with Alexis in the Optical Systems Technology program here at MCC.
I'm Brian Lake. I'm the supervisor to the Optics Technology program in New Jersey at Sussex County Community College.
I'm Donna Smith. I'm a high school teacher that teaches optics in conjunction with MCC.
I am Josanne DiNatale. I'm the National Marketing Manager with AmeriCom. And all of you wonderful people who want to be mentors and connectors to young people who want to join the field, I want to talk to you. So.
And Tom, that way.
Hi, I'm Tom Batley. I'm the director of the New York Photonics Cluster and the vice president of the American Center for Optics Manufacturing.
That's our crew, Natalia.
Awesome. Well, thank you, New York team. Welcome. Jack, to you now.
Hello, my name is Jack DeLong. I teach the Photonics program at Iowa Western Community College in Western Iowa, Council Bluffs. And we've been doing this for 4 years now, and I am an incredible struggle for enrollment of any sort. And I'm really here to learn anything I can, get any tidbits at all, and really any advice I can gather so that maybe in a couple of years I can then be a participant and help someone else out. But right now I'm in dire need of any help I can get to get my program moving along.
Tamara, can you hear me?
Hi, my name is Tamara Whitaker. I am the head of communications at Yanoptic.
Andrea.
Tamara, where are you located? Which Yanoptic facility?
What's that?
I can barely hear, sorry.
Tamara, which Yanoptic facility are you located at?
I'm based out of Jupiter, Florida.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And you as well.
Andrea, if you can hear us, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, my name is Andrea Romig. I'm a photonics technician at SciFox Inc. in Burlington, Massachusetts. Fairly recent, last year I graduated from the inaugural class of the Advanced Manufacturing and Integrated Photonics program in collaboration with Stonehill, Bridgewater, and MIT. And yeah, I'm here to learn and help where I can. And I'm also digital media and communications group lead along with Kirsten, and we're working on a show called Light Talks, where we talk to women in photonics technologies and hopefully inspire other women to get involved.
Ruby.
Hi everyone, this is Ruby from Stonehill College. I'm the physics professor and the photonics program director.
Kate,
hi Ruby.
Hi.
Right, that's the place where everybody meets.
Yeah.
Kate, if you can hear me.
Yeah, hey everyone, I am Kate Myers. I am a graduate out of the IHCC Community College laser program in 2017. and I am currently a health and safety professional at Phillips in Washington.
Well, where's my favorite Gary? Gary, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
How did you jump to me? We're out of order.
We can't see you though.
Yeah.
Hold on just a minute. I've got a.
There you
Okay,
go.
is that better?
Hey, you're in San Francisco. Good to see you here, buddy.
I know I miss Photonics West. It's terrible. I can't stand it. So I'm Gary Beasley, the instructor for the lasers at Central Carolina Community College. And this is my 21st year I just finished. And I'll be glad to help anyone I can. And I'm thrilled that one of my students, Miss Courtney Martin, one of my favorite, is going to be joining us. So thank you, Natalia.
Thank you, Gary, so much. Robin, I know that your camera is not working, but would you be able to introduce yourself at least over the audio? If she can hear us. Robin, she may have stepped away. Courtney, are you there? Yep, here she is. Oh yeah, here she is.
Hey.
Would you mind introducing yourself? Mm-hmm.
Yes. I am a graduate from Central Carolina under Mr. Beasley from the Laser and Photonics technology program. I'm a former engineering project manager for pre-lighting, and currently I am a student researcher at Tunnel.
Thank you. First time today joining us. Mm-hmm. And Kay, are you there?
Yep. Hi, I'm Kay Wilkoff. I'm a student with Robin. Actually, we're both at the MCC Community College program with Alexis. I just finished my first year. I think Robin just finished her first year as well. I'll just add in a little bit about her since she.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
And yeah, so I've been doing the optical systems technology degree, and I actually just started with Optimax to get a little experience in the field. So I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot on lunch break, but didn't want to miss this. And then I'm also taking over the Optics Club president role next year. So I'm definitely looking to use some of my background in social work to continue to recruit and empower other women students in our program and in the field.
Thank you so much. And Drew, are you there? Missouri? Yep.
Well, I mean, I have to represent now. I'm the only one from Missouri, so I'm going to have to. Is this like a best saving the best for last kind of thing? Is that what's going on here? I'm sorry. You guys are going to have to bear with me. I'm home watching a six-month-old today. So I am Drew Collins. I am the Department Chair of Electronics Engineering Technology and Biomedical Engineering Technology at the State Technical College of Missouri. We have two fundamentals laser courses that our students go through, and we are, fingers crossed, hoping in the next 3 years to have our laser program off the ground to try and get more technicians into the workforce. We do have a few students. I know Natalia and I were talking in December, and a couple of our female students are actually in on this, but when it comes summertime, most students they say, bye-bye, I'm going to work. You can hold off until fall. So, but yeah, I'm here to try to help anyone as best I can. I'm trying my best to kind of make do this semester. Like I said, young little girl is not easy to manage, but we're doing pretty good. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you for joining. I know how it is, kids and all, we all know. And I appreciate you joining us today. So just a quick, because I see so many new faces today, I really would like to walk us through some of the website resources that we have. Just a quick overview before I hand it to Desiree. Sounds good? Because I feel like, there's a big group there that never been exposed to what LASER-TEC has so far, or we as a group, Women in Photonics Technologies, built so far. So I'm just gonna go and share my screen. Which screen? This one. So you see the website? I need some kind of Desiree, you're gonna be my kind of a visual, okay?
Yes.
Indicator. Okay, this is the web page dedicated to Women in Photonics Technologies work group. Just a quick thing, you know, for faculty and students who would like to still to contribute, we are actually still until August, we have a little bit of an opportunity, financial opportunity to help out. So if you're doing any work, actual work for the group, we will be happy to compensate for your hours. So that another kind of another sideway conversation here. So if you're interested in, please do that. So the bottom page kind of summarizes all of the initiatives that we launched. So some of them we have advanced pretty good. Some of them we're, you know, like Drew said, you know, leaving the best one for the end. So the supporting resources is something that is critical for us to develop. Those are going to be across genders. It's going to be developed for all of our students. Those are existing supporting resources on a federal level, state level, regional level, and sometimes on an individual college level that sustain our students throughout their study. So, and that will include, you know, tuition support programs, housing support programs, meal support programs, whatever else, whatever barriers our students are facing, we would like to remove them to allow them to focus solely on their studies. We have not much advanced here because this is such a huge undertaking, and it's going to be a while before we have something deliverable on this one. Digital Media and Communications Group is working on forming, apologies, sorry, video resources that will help us empower and encourage women. Under this form, we're actually developing, with Andrea lead on that, we're developing video conversations, video discussions that are called light talks. I'll briefly talk about that. We have recorded the first one with a technician, a graduate of a photonics college program, who currently works as a managing engineering management in the engineering management area in the NIF at NIF, Lawrence Livermore. Our next goal is to capture story of Kate, who is on the call today. We moved forward with that. We just still need to finish it up before we can showcase the product. But the light talks with the light jokes, you know, that's the idea behind it. Have a really nice, lightweight conversations to capture the stories. Marketing and informational resources focusing on static marketing products, brochures, flyers, informational resources that can be handed out or shared electronically as a flyer of some sort. That does require different marketing approaches and hence, you know, two separate groups. Mentorship and coaching. This is a group. Let me follow you through this. This is the set of our mentors. You probably recognize yourself, many of you, right, in this. A quick update on this. So this is folks who are willing and happy to help us as mentors and coaches, but can be now accessed through, here's Katie, through our website. And the last conversation we had back in April, you gave me the feedback that you would like to have certain areas. I don't know if you can see me highlighting. You know,
sorry, I can't see you doing anything. I just see the Women in Photonics Technology screen. Is everyone else seeing that too? Like the main screen? Like it's not changing.
Yeah, I just see the home screen.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. Let me see. You share. You go reshare. I don't know if that helps.
Now it's on the mentorship and yes, there you go.
If I scroll down.
Yep, we can see scroll down.
So since last time, right, we added those areas where mentors and coaches felt comfortable and willing to help us with. So we did a quick survey of our members, identified those critical areas where they believe they need help with. And our mentors kind of pre-selected the areas where they feel the strongest in providing that help. So I'm gonna go back, you let me know. I'm going back to the homepage.
Yep.
Did it go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe then since something that I saw that a lot of you took advantage of this, but on the marketing and informational resources, we kind of gathered existing and created new resources that can be used. There are OER resources, you can download them with no license attached to that, no copyright attached to that. Those are the collections that you can use in your marketing approaches, whether those are videos or imagery or brochures or flyers. Feel free if you'd like to use them. They're yours. Just if you have any feedback how to improve them or what else to add to that collection, let me know. We'll continue working on that. So it's just a little quick overview of those resources. We haven't done much of that, so I'm not gonna waste your time on the professional development and academic support. We do have a pathway, how to provide professional development opportunities for our women and girls and how to help them grow academically. Unfortunately, in the last 3 months, we haven't done much in this area. I will update you on advancements when we have results. So just so that you know what we have available at the moment, those of you who have not seen it in the past, and some of the little updates that we have on the Light Talks and the mentorship group. Again, mentors, please advise all of your girls and women in your program. Encourage them, reach out to our mentors and our coaches. Coaches are somewhat protected from the spam emailing, so we will be a middle platform between a mentor and a student. But please encourage them to kind of use the facility, use the resources that we already have. At this point, I will, unless you have any questions for me, I'll stop sharing. Do you have any specific questions concerning the resources that WiPT has? Okay, then I will introduce Desiree, and we'll kick off our conversations with superheroes. So Desiree, the floor is yours. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for doing all the amazing work that you're doing. Like all the stuff you just showed us is fantastic. I hope you all are taking advantage of it because it's super useful. As I mentioned, I'm Desiree. I'm going to now share my screen with you all over here. That's not it. Can you see my screen? I can't see you, unfortunately, so I'm gonna need an audio. Oh, there you are. Oh, wait, I found you. Hold on. How do I move this over? Oh my gosh, sorry, I had to do this because this just made my whole day. Like I spent like 5 minutes in the beginning, not able. Okay, can you see my screen? And I can see you now, and I can see that at the chat. Hey, sorry, Caitlin, good to see you. Okay, so as I talk, feel free to write stuff in the chat. I might not see it right away, but I'll try to keep looking back at the chat. And we have 30 minutes, so I will try to get through all the stuff that I want to share with you. I mean, basically what I want to share is just my career, the journey to get to where I am today and the lessons that I've learned at each step. So if you ever want to get in contact with me, you can reach out. I'm Darth Science on Twitter or Dr. LASERchick on Instagram, or you can just go to my website, which is laserchick.net, and you can access me from there. So I also want to point out that I am on Huichin territory, which is the ancestral and unceded lands of the Lishan Ohlone. I currently live in Berkeley, California. And I know that LASER-TEC is at Indian River State College, and they are on the lands of the Miccosukee tribe. And if you are curious about the ancestral lands that you are living on, you can go to native-land.ca and you can put in where you live, and it'll send you to learn more about the people whose land you're on. And I encourage all of you to, if you haven't already, to learn more about these folks because they're still here, and make genuine relationships with them to learn how to better live a more sustainable life so that your grandkids and their grandkids can still be here. So I am a Black skin American, and I'm the oldest of 8 kids. These are all my kids right here. I call them my kids because I raised these middle ones over here. Now, this one is the one who wasn't here. This is my PhD graduation, and this is the only picture I have of all of us. And there's still one missing. So, it's kind of hard to get us all together. the things that I love the most are taking things apart and learning how it works, and which drove my parents crazy as a kid. I would take apart the vacuum cleaner and the VCR, and VCR is a video recording device that you can use to watch. We used to put things on tapes, like these magnetic tapes to watch movies. Now they're just on the internet. I love teaching. Yeah, right. I love teaching. I think it's the best way to learn. And so all these kids are like super duper smart, because I would come home from school and I would just teach them everything I learned in school. So like, you know, these little like first grader is learning what the 10th grader is learning in school. I love cars and dogs and being an aunt. These are my 2 cars. And this is my baby, Stella, who's 8 years old now. And I love being an aunt. It's like my favorite role out of all the hats that I wear. So this is my niece, Dahlia, and this is Kinsley, and then this is Jaden. He just turned 15. So these kids are growing up real fast. And I love bowling and roller skating. And I actually recently got to, it's like my dream. I got to be a science advisor on a movie script about bowling. It's like a movie about the physics of, it's not about the physics of bowling, but I got to actually write all of the physics portions of it. We'll see if the film gets made. But it was really fun to be a script advisor. So let me tell you about my education. So I started in community college, and I'm just going to tell you where I came from and what I learned, right? So I started in community college. I got an associate's degree in physical sciences. And it took me a really long time because I was working full time. I had a pretty tough end of high school. And so I was adjusting to life as a college student. But what I learned in college, in my community college, was that it's okay to change your major. Like if you go in thinking, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be so great. I'm going to be a doctor, and I'm going to go to medical school, and then I'm going to be a resident. And then you're like, I don't want to do all that. I want to go and be a photonics technologist. That's totally fine. That's totally fine, right? You got to do what brings you joy, right? I transferred to UCLA and I got a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. And I did research in physical chemistry. So I realized while I was there studying chemical engineering that I hated chemical engineering. I was like really not into it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I had taken some physics classes and some chemistry classes. And I was like, this is the stuff I really like. And so I joined a research lab because I wanted to do more physics, more quantum mechanics to be specific. And so I asked my quantum mechanics professor, like, hey, can I work for you? And he said, of course. And so I learned so much more in my research than I did in my classes. And so I think, you know, by paying attention to what I really wanted to learn, and making sure that I was researching those things, I actually got a lot more out of college. But like I said, I was a chemical engineering major, but I knew I didn't want to be a chemical engineer. So I decided to go back to school and get my master's and PhD from UC Irvine. And so that's where I got to finally play with lasers, which like changed my life. So my PhD is in chemical and material physics. And I did ultra fast laser spectroscopy. So I was building femtosecond lasers and microscope systems and coupling them to try to study single molecules vibrating in real time. This work was very hard, and graduate school is very hard. And the work was actually just recently published in Science this year, like a couple months ago, even though I graduated 11 years ago. But the work, we finally made it, which is great. And what I learned from that was really, you know, you need to work with people who you can get along with. And you also need to make sure that your mental health is top of mind. Like you need to take care of yourself. Because if you hit these like deep bouts of depression or loneliness, it can really affect your performance and your well-being. So like taking care of your mind is really important. And I think that's super important right now, right? Given that we are virtual for the most part, right? A lot of us are working in isolation, or we're being asked to go and do work in person that's like leading us to be in stressful situations. So just make sure to take care of yourself. And then after my PhD, I went to Berkeley. I did a postdoc, so I did more research in physics, and I built even bigger laser systems that were even faster. And so I was doing what's called attosecond spectroscopy, which is basically 10 to the minus 18 seconds is how fast my laser pulse is, right? So that's a billionth of a second, which is how long it takes an electron to go across a single hydrogen atom. That's how long it takes. And so I was building these huge, giant laser systems that normally, in order to get these X-ray laser beams, you had to use a synchrotron, which is like an accelerator. You had to make electrons go super duper duper fast and then cause them to like pivot. And when they pivot, they lose energy, which is an X-ray. And those things are huge, like miles long. And I built one that was just in a lab, right? And so we had some of the first attosecond lasers that were tabletop in the country. And what I learned there is that hands-on skills are super transferable. Like everything that I had learned doing in the laser lab in grad school, which my professors didn't want me to be doing, totally transferred. And being postdoc, I was just like, I worked with a ton of different physicists and chemists who really understood the theory of everything, but they couldn't build. They couldn't put things together. They couldn't test the things that we were doing. And that was really kind of when I realized that, like, I am a PhD and I'm also a technician, right? And that technician role is what really helped me to excel in my postdoc. But I decided I didn't want to be a professor, like a research professor. So I had to find another way, and I always loved teaching. So like, here's me in grad school at a museum teaching optics with an optics kit from Pasco. And here's me, we used to do these, like, I used to dress up like Harry Potter and go and do like these Hogwarts. We invented Hogwarts School of Optics, me and Don Silverman, which is super fun. I don't know if you know who Dr. Murdy is, but there's this amazing man, Dr. Murdy in Southern California, and he used to dress up like a wizard and he would do these optics. And so we made it a whole Harry Potter thing because it was fun. I would bring kids into my laser lab. This is my laser lab in grad school. This is a high school. These are the top 20 high school students in Orange County. I got to bring them in and show them how my laser system worked. I would rope in my little brothers and sisters with me and like to go to schools and to go do outreach to teach kids about optics and build periscopes. But it was always just about teaching, right? Like I really loved teaching. And so when it came to what do I do with my life now that I don't want to be a professor, it was really like, okay, how about I think about curriculum development? I'm a scientist. And so I went to the Lawrence Hall of Science, which is a part of UC Berkeley, but it's like their kids' science museum. And so I went up there and I learned about the next generation science standards, which if any of you have graduated high school recently, you might know what these are. Or if any of you teach high school or middle school, this is basically like not the way that I learned science when I was in school, where it was just like memorize science, which is what we call like basically these disciplinary core ideas, this yellow section. But the next generation science standards are the new standards. And they're the way, like it's more three-dimensional. It's like, okay, you learn the facts of science, but then you also have to learn, like, what do scientists and engineers really do, right? What are the practices? What do they do every day at work? And then they also learn about the cross-cutting concepts. So what are the pieces that connect the different sciences together? And so this is a really big view of how science is. And that's the way that science is being taught now in schools, which is pretty cool. And so I worked on a curriculum. I helped to write what's called Amplify Science. And my job was to write digital simulations. So I was an app developer. And so this is one of my apps. This is actually for 5th grade. It was a K-8 curriculum. And so this is about ecosystems. So I got to learn a whole bunch about ecosystems because I'm a laser chick. I don't know about ecosystems. So I got to learn for this app. And this is not the app in action. This is just a picture from it. And then I got to do one about tsunamis and earthquakes. And so the students would learn about earthquakes. And then I got to give them this task as student engineers to actually try to create a tsunami warning system to place sensors that would sense the tsunami and warn people in Sri Lanka before the wave came. I got to do another one about baby warmers. So like when children are born prematurely, they can't regulate their body temperature. And so students got to create these little like sleeping bags and use these phase change materials that regulate the body temperature of the baby. And they're really cheap. It's basically just wax, and you boil the wax, put it in the sleeping bag, wrap the baby in it. And so it got to monitor the baby's temperature. And you know, it's all about trade-offs and thinking about how to make the best baby warmer you can that's going to regulate the baby's temperature for the longest amount of time at the lowest cost. And so they had to really work with those trade-offs. And then of course, you know, I couldn't write a curriculum without making a laser simulation. So 8th graders get to learn all about light and optics, and they get to learn about like what light waves do. And so I got to make this really cool simulation that's a laser, and it's super fun because you can change the laser to be whatever wavelength you want. So you can make a custom laser, you can tune it within the light range, visible light range, or you can make a sun laser, which basically sends out all of the light in the electromagnetic spectrum, which is really cool. And then you have like an optics table, so you get to put the little pieces, whatever object you wanted. And this unit was about, you know, trying to study the sun's rays and skin cancer. And so you got to study like DNA and sunscreen and skin, like melanin, to understand what every wavelength did to it. And this is maybe my favorite unit that I made, which I'm going to put on double speed. And this is a simulation of a planet. This is about currents in the ocean and the air. And so what you're seeing now is like what the air temperature is on this planet. These are continents, and what's moving is the ocean. And so you're seeing that the air is changing. You can switch the direction of the flow of the water. Here you see like these bubbles of water. You can place little location sensors to study how energy is transferred from the sun to the surface, and then from the surface to the air and back again. And you can do it in multiple places to compare the two. So like, what does it look like in Antarctica versus, or Antarctica is the other direction, but what does it look like at the poles versus what does it look like at the equator? And you can see the differences in energy. And you can turn off the sun, which like freezes everything, which is super cool. So yeah, this was one of my favorite units. After I did that, and so that curriculum's done, and it's in schools across the country, which is really fun to and fulfilling to like get emails from teachers, high school or middle school teachers who were like, oh my gosh, are you the person who wrote this like light waves unit? Because my students really love it. You know, and it's like, it's really nice. Like I actually, one of my, I call her my niece, but she's not, she's my best friend's, sorry, she's my little brother's best friend's daughter, who's 13. And she just did my unit. And she came home telling her mom how she saw me in her classroom. And it was really cute. Then I went to Irvine College and I became a professor. So I became a professor of physics and of laser and photonics technology. I was there for 2 years. Here are some pictures of my program. So we took students on lots of industry tours. We actually conducted some classes on the industry shop floors. And like Jack was saying, enrollment is difficult, right? And so it was always this fight for like doing outreach, going out to different events, reaching out to different companies to try to get the companies to send us students to train up in the field, and going to high school career fairs to try to recruit students that way. And it was really an awesome job. And that's how I got to meet Natalia and Gary and like start to be involved in all of this work, which I really, really enjoyed. But I found that, you know, before I had become a professor, I had already applied for a job that they ended up not hiring for. And then they ended up, the person who had the job passed away. And so they had to fill the position, and they were like, oh, well, who were the top candidates from before? And they reached out to me. And even though I was already a professor, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dream job. I can't turn this down. And so I came to the Exploratorium, which is a museum in San Francisco. It's a hands-on museum, and it's full of light and color and optics and all other kinds of science. But really, it was created by this amazing man named Frank Oppenheimer, who you may have heard of. He worked on the Manhattan Project with his brother, and he created this museum that's all about inquiry. So it's all about asking questions. So nobody in the museum is standing there telling you what to do. And it's got hundreds of exhibits. And the goal is really to just learn by doing, right? You make mistakes, you break things, and then you put them back together. And what my work there is really doing is like working with teachers. So I do professional development, and I teach middle school and high school science teachers how to teach science using inquiry, using the next generation science standards. And so some of what I do is what we call science snacks, which are basically snack-sized versions of our exhibits. And so they're activities that you can do wherever you are. Most of them cost less than $10 or free. You might have all the stuff at home already. So like this is a condiment diver here. It's just like a bottle of water with a ketchup packet in it. And you can study buoyancy. It's really cool. And during the pandemic, we made even more of them. Now, I understand that some of you, especially over there in New York, you have this giant screen. So I have this cool activity that I can do with you, except I don't think you can do it because you have a bunch of people around a table, unless actually you can do it if you stand up and walk towards the screen one by one, but I don't think you want to do that either. So I think I'll just skip the activity for now. I can show it to you, but I won't go through it. So basically you would, close your left eye and look at this dot and then move your head closer to and farther from the screen. And I would ask you, what do you notice? And what do you wonder? And hopefully you would notice something. And then I do the same thing on this one. And now you have a colored background. And now you have a cool pinwheel. And the idea is that you get to learn about your blind spot. That's in your eye. You actually get to see that like this thing disappears or this thing fills in. And the idea that I like to tie it back to is that, we all have blind spots. Everyone who can see has a literal blind spot in our eye. And what that blind spot is the place where our optic nerve is connected to our retina. So there aren't any actual cells there. There are no rods and cones for us to see because that's where the hardware is. And so that's a blind spot that everyone has. And that's a physical blind spot, but I like to connect it back to social blind spots as well, right? You tend to make assumptions about people like women who you're like, hey, women can't do photonics, women don't do physics. And it's like, you need to check yourself, right? And people think those things automatically, like our brain just fills in information because it's trained to do that, right? And so I like to make this analogy in order to help us to realize that, like, blind spots exist and we know that they're there. And when you have a blind spot, you can move your head around, you can turn to figure out what's that missing information. And you do the same thing socially, right? Do your research, start thinking about people, start talking to people to learn more about what they do. And so that's all I've got for you today. And this is the vision statement at the Exploratorium, which is a world where people think for themselves, can confidently ask questions, question answers, and understand the world around them. So that's all. Feel free to ask me all the questions. I know we only have 8 minutes left, so I'm going to stop sharing. And I hope that that was helpful for you in some way.
Yeah, I will do the loud voice, I will do the audio because everybody else is mute.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yes, go ahead.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Normally I would put you in groups, but I don't think we have time. So what I like to do when I give talks is actually make you turn to your partner and ask them a question that you would want to ask me, just to like peer review your question so that everybody gets a chance to talk, right? But we can't do that because we're virtual, and I would put you in breakout rooms, but it takes too long, so we're not going to do it. What's up? what questions do you have? Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that.
Well, I think Gary has a question. Gary, do you have a question? I have a raised hand.
Well, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say, Desiree, that was super. And may I use it to show it to my class every year starting out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, show them what?
Well, just show them your journey and
oh yeah,
hard work and your success and all the turns and everything. And you just added so much to it. It'd just be super. So thank you for sharing that. And I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here.
Desiree, cannot thank you enough to spend your time with us today and share about. We always knew you were awesome. How about that? You know, we always knew that. You know, there's a lot that comes into Desiree package. You know, Desiree is very well rounded and definitely multiverse. But unfolding some of the stories that I never knew about you was super cool to know. You know, so I'm very proud to call you my buddy and and a colleague, and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Courtney, don't you think that hopefully you're there? I know you have 2 children you're looking after, real little ones, but don't you think that if you'd seen that coming into the program, it would have inspired you?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. And it seems very similar to kind of the path that I myself have journeyed on without the chemistry in between. So I kind of went straight to physics but, after the laser and photonics program. So no, it was great. I saw a lot of myself and where I would like to go from your journey.
That's awesome. Well, feel free to reach out if you ever need anything. Again, I'll put my website in the chat so that everybody has it. Even though, oh yeah, it's not an automatic link. I don't know how to do it.
No worries, I will make sure.
Yeah, I think you say www.
You're good, don't worry.
Nope.
Well, I would like to encourage all of our faculty, to take an advantage of a talent that we have, of a talent pool that we have. Desiree is a fantastic public speaker, great, what is the word? Inspirator? The person who inspires.
Oh, I'm going to use it now. I'm an inspirator. I'm going to put it on my business card. Desiree Whitmore, LASERchick and inspirator.
So I know that her time is, she's booked, but it's always good to have her. And,
yes. I want questions. Come on, people. We got Andrea. We got all the folks over at
let me ask you. I will ask you a question. That's the question that everybody asks, and I will ask you. What was the most difficult part of the journey, and what did you do to overcome that? Very.
I don't like this question.
Okay. What was the best part of your journey?
I mean, there was a lot to overcome in the journey. The most difficult part, I think, was getting over. Grad school was hard. Let me just put it that way. Like I had a couple of deaths in my family during graduate school, and my PhD advisor, I had 2 of them, and one of them was brand new. He started when I started my PhD, and the other one had been teaching for years and years. And we had just gotten some really good results on my project, and my stepmother was told that she had a month left to live. So I had to leave to take care of my kids and my family. And my professor was like, you shouldn't leave. You can't leave. You'll be ruining your career if you leave. And I was like, you're stupid, because I'm not gonna not leave, And I left. And when I came back a month later, or 3 months later, actually, he had replaced me on my project with like a first-year student who had no idea what they were doing. And my laser system was all screwed up, and I'm like trying to fix everything. And so just like not having the support that I needed within my research group, which is why I said one of the lessons I learned is like work with people you can get along with, who actually support and care for you. So the way I overcame it is I went to my network, you know, like the Optical Society of America. I was a big part of that. And I worked with Don Silberman and Brian Monticelli, and I like poured myself into my outreach and my teaching because I felt like my research was draining me. And so that's how I got over it. I really just kind of changed my focus to the things that I loved instead of the things that I was supposed to be doing, which got me where I am now. So I'm happy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the subject of your research that was published 11 years after you graduated?
It is the imaging of single molecules vibrating in real time. So like really capturing, you know, when molecules move, they basically dance. Molecules have a dance, and every frequency of light, or every dance move that they have, puts out a different frequency of light. And so that's the system that I was building, was like, how do I study these different dance moves, right? I want to take movies of them. And we were really close, but the imaging techniques that we were using, like it wasn't advanced enough yet. Like the technology just wasn't there. And now it is. So we figured it out, like I should say they, not me. They have figured out how to get to it. So we had some very rudimentary images, but we got to watch them rotating and not vibrating, which is a different time scale, and vibrating is a little bit more exciting. I'll say that.
Cool, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
What were you using for imaging?
We were using scanning tunneling microscopy. So basically, for those of you who don't know, like when you get down to the microscopic level, quantum mechanics starts to take over. So really weird, cool things happen, like electrons can like tunnel, so they can just basically vanish through a wall and show up on the other side. And so we were using this really cool device that's like a needle that's just above the surface, like a metal surface that has little molecules on it. And we were using that. I was shooting the needle with my laser to have a timed signal. And we were imaging what the molecule was doing every time I shot the laser at the needle. And so it was pretty cool. It's still pretty cool. But I did multiple imaging techniques. So I did scanning tunneling microscopy. I used atomic force microscopy, which is similar, but there's like this little cantilever that like sticks to the surface. It taps the surface and measures what force it feels. And I was shooting my laser at that. And then I was just using standard optical microscopy, like an inverted microscope. And so all three of those methods gave me pretty good results. I studied lots of different molecules, including carbon nanotubes, because a single carbon nanotube is basically a giant molecule, right? It's just like this tube of carbon atoms. And so I got to study carbon nanotubes. I would stick my molecules onto dumbbells, like metal balls. And what would happen is like these metal balls actually attract the signal, right? So if a little tiny, they act like antenna. So like if a little tiny molecule is vibrating in between these two dumbbells, well, then the dumbbells are going to see the signals coming out of that and amplify them. The dumbbells are going to shake even more at that same frequency. And so that creates more light that I can actually measure. So that was a very long answer to your question. I don't talk about my PhD research that much anymore. So when I get to talk about it, I get very excited.
Maybe, I would like to, if you can unfold a little bit, because you've been in the position of a faculty. We have a few faculty here, of community college or two-year college system. Anything that you can comment on in this realm, as far as students, quality of curriculum approaches, anything else?
Oh yeah, I mean, curriculum, I think, LaserTEC, which was the curriculum was through OpTech when I was a professor. But the curriculum is super helpful. It's a really good starting point. And I realized that what I needed when I was teaching was not just to teach the curriculum straight, but to work with the industry, the local industry, and ask them, like, what do you need? You know, what is it that you want your technicians to know coming in? And so I would modify the curriculum to make sure that my students were graduating with the skills that were needed throughout the industry that was local to me, because that's where a lot of my students were going. But I also realized that some of my students are all over the place, right? And I realized that even though it's hard and sometimes enrollment is super low, there are so many jobs out there. And using that as the motivation to like really get people out. Because sometimes it's hard because students are like, you know, I have a family, I have a life. I want to get a job where I'm at. But sometimes like convincing them, especially we were in California, in Southern California, in Orange County, which is super expensive. And it's like, you can get a job and you can go to, you know, Montana, and you can make so much money and you can have a giant house and like a ranch in the mountains. And like, you know, a couple of my students did go to Montana. And I think it's really the hardest part of being a professor for me was like when I couldn't help students, like some students would have problems that are outside of my power to help them with. And I found that to be really hard. I find that being a professor is so much more than just being a teacher, right? It's your social worker and your friend and your mentor. And it's hard sometimes when students have circumstances that are out of your control. But, you know, I'm a very resourceful person. So I think my students get to take advantage of all of my resources. Even now, one of my students, I'm very excited. I just wrote her a letter of recommendation yesterday. She's been working at Alcon for the last couple of years as a photonics technician, and she's applying for a high school CTE teacher position at the high school she graduated from. So I'm like very excited about it.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions we have for Desiree while she's here? I'm sure we'll follow up with additional questions after the meeting. We're a little bit beyond our time frame. I know it's probably our shortest meeting so far. Remember, our first meeting went for 3 hours. It was exhausting.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, but we had a lot to discuss. The kickoffs are usually the hardest. So I feel we're on the right path right now. So
yeah. I tried to keep it short. So sorry that I went over by 6 minutes.
We extended it to questions. We're good. Well, with that, unless guys, do you have any questions, comments, regardless, you know, let's first of all thank Desiree once again. Desiree, thank you so much for all of your help and your presentation. Very helpful, very constructive. Super happy to have you here. We will build on your talents. So I kind of will take an advantage of the fact that you're such a nice person and you don't know how to say no. So I'm just, you know, I'll take an advantage of that. I'm being honest about that, open, right? Definitely would like to moving forward with a team like that. With that, I just would like to switch back to the initiatives of women in photonics technologies. Our next meeting is going to be on September 8th. I will send you again, not today, but it's quarterly meetings, right? So I'll send you again the link as we finish our conversation today. If there's anything that you would like me to bring and our team to bring to those meetings, if it's a resource, conversations, anything else that you feel, training that will be helpful for us, especially timely, like because it's September, so it depends on the academic schedules of colleges, you know, what would be the most helpful thing for you to have, and that's probably addressing to the faculty, so that you can engage your students. I feel like we need to start helping them build their professional portfolios. You know, September it's going to be beginning of the second year, that's when we need to start kind of cranking it all up, getting their, a resume done, their professional portfolios, whatever it is, done, get them drilled on their interview skills, stuff like that, job search. Those are the skills that we really, really need. I feel like there's a big gap in that. If you think that's something that our students will benefit from, and we need to have a session on that, we definitely can roll it out as well. I think next September, we have September 8th, actually go back. Katie is going to give us a little talk about, how to survive the industry pretty much, because she is an engineer in Edmond Optics. She'll talk about, the pathway in industry for women and girls. But then we will need to probably do something on career building capacity. So if you agree with me, just let me know. Okay, got it. I know that maybe I'm putting you on the spot right now. It's like, give me, let me think about what you need. But as you think through, what do you think is the most helpful next thing for us to do? Because we're agile, we're flexible, we're definitely a very nimble group, we're a high-performing group, we can definitely make it happen pretty quickly. Andrea, I can see you saying something. No? No? Okay. So with that in mind, I will just stop recording, okay? That's the first thing I need to do.